Welcome back to the Foul Line. I'm your host as always, Connor Black. With me as always, Wyatt Olson.
What's up?
And with us as always, back from surgery, Wyatt Hall.
What's up?
All right, you're just going to jump right in. We do have a Celtics fan here on the show with us. Might be pretty biased. Who knows? I know. So if the Celtics don't win it all this year, how does that kind of look for Jayson Tatum's legacy? Not just postseason, not just regular season, but his career legacy as a player.
Let me start. So he's 27 years of age. He's been in the playoffs every year of his career. He's had really great teams every year he's been on the team. Granted, he's only been number one for how many years now? Maybe 4?
I say 5.
5 years. So, I guess in the last episode I mentioned there's a stat where Jayson Tatum has a 33% chance of shooting 40% or less from the field. As great as Tatum is arguably, in my opinion, one of the 5 most skilled players in the league, 3-level wise and all around. He's unbelievable. But just for some reason, cannot get over said hump.
Yeah.
And with this team, Brad Stevens takes a backseat to the GM spot. You trade for Drew Holiday and Kristaps.
One of the best defenders in the league.
Right. Your team can shoot the lights out from everywhere. You have good role players off the bench. A rising coach, maybe still not the best right now, but getting better with every
One of the
day.
youngest coaches in the league.
Yeah, getting better. I think his decision making is getting better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, your alpha has to be that guy.
Yeah, and we've seen him be that guy. We've seen the 50-point game.
Right.
We've seen the high performances, but like you said, the so-called hump come playoff time is just like he performs. First round, second round, third round, and the 1 year in the finals. It was a rough time for Jayson Tatum. I mean, I get Miami probably shouldn't have been an 8 seed, but the fact that they were and then they lose and they beat Boston. As an alpha, you've been the number 1 option, like we said, for 5 years. Even last year's team was a damn good Celtics team that could have done some damage in the finals if they made it, but they didn't. And we say the same thing, with the Clippers. Like if they're not, how many years do they realistically have left? Not saying the Celtics are old. I'm just saying, how many more years are you going to try to rely on Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to get you over the hump to the finals?
Question: If they lose this year, would you even entertain the idea of trading Jaylen Brown?
You couldn't. His contract is way too big.
Right. Or Tatum? Would you even entertain the idea?
No.
I
would keep the exact same team.
If they did make it to the finals.
No. Let's say they
think about it. No, think about it. We just got 2 new people, 2 huge pieces. Yes, on paper, we should win it all. But that's the first year with that team. Plus, we have rookie and Jordan Walsh who are still developing. We also have a guy in the G League that we're still developing. What's his name?
Davidson.
Oh, J.D.
Davidson. He's going to be really good. Derek White, he's getting better every single year. I think we keep the same team and honestly move some of our bench players. I think his name is Tillman. If we develop Jordan Walsh, how I hope we do, we could get rid of him, have Jordan Walsh come up from G League and play in that spot, because we've seen his college highlights. We saw him at Arkansas knock off Kansas.
Yeah,
we know he can be really good, but as of right now, it's just a matter of helping, which I applaud Brad Stevenson. I think he, behind Sam Presti, is a top 2 GM in the sense of intelligence-wise and how he runs things.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'd probably put Pat Riley up there.
And honestly, last year, if what happened with MA never happened, I think we definitely make the finals if we have MA Udoka.
I think there's definitely a higher chance.
There's definitely a higher chance, but if I'm taking a coaching matchup against Eric Spoelstra and
I think Spoelstra is the best coach in the league.
It's hard for me to say that Ime Udoka is going to outcoach Eric Spoelstra, especially on the energy end, on the defensive end. it's just hard for me to say that. Obviously, we can put any hypothetical out there that you want to, like if we had this, that, you know, they didn't get it done, and like it's been 7 years since Jayson Tatum got drafted, and
Well, sorry to interrupt you. One thing, you brought up the finals now. Jayson Tatum underperformed, but he set himself an injury. He played through a wrist surgery, and after they lost, he actually had to get surgery on his wrist. So he was playing through an injury and still playing really decent basketball. He wasn't playing, you know, top tier number one team basketball, but that was also the first time they were in the finals.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but finals experience aside, you had, so what, it was 2 years ago, right? I mean, finals experience aside, you still had 5 years of playoff experience built, or 3 years of playoff experience built up to get you to that point. And they made the Eastern Conference Finals like 2 out of those 3 years anyways. So the experience thing is hard for me. Yes, the finals is a bigger stage, but he got him to that point as well did Jaylen Brown, you know. So it's just hard to say that they don't make a big change like getting rid of one of them by the end of this year if they don't make it happen, because I just can't, if I'm in Brad Stevens' spot and, you know, I'm the one that's supposed to be controlling the team, and let's say they don't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they get eliminated first or second round, which with the East being as good as it is this year, that is a possibility. And you can't look at that team and say, okay, let's run it back again. If you're 8th year, it's hard to say that. I mean, at the end of the day, the league is a business and Brad Stevens has to do what he has to do. But at the same time, I see what you're saying, you know, why not run it back again? You know, you have Kristaps, Drew, but at the same time, you're going to have to be paying these guys. And eventually, money's going to run out and somebody's going to have to go. And you just signed the biggest contract in NBA history with Jaylen Brown. So you're trading for somebody else is going to be tough. Bringing in new players in the offseason is going to be even tougher. So, and with the Jordan Walsh development, with him being the G League right now, we haven't really been able to see much of him. J.D. Davison is playing good ball in the G League, but it's hard for me to say he's going to be a good role player in the NBA. Same with Jordan Walsh. I'm not there yet with either one of them, but what do you think? Do you think if you're Brad Stevens, what are you doing if you don't perform, if you underperform this year, where's the direction you're going?
It's solely because of Brown's contract. Probably most realistically, you would tradable option is Tatum. Because his contract is less, he's older, younger than Tatum, or Brown.
Yeah.
You're talking about trading a top 5 player in the NBA. That's crazy. Who are you going to get in return that's going to replace?
The thing is,
Kevin Durant's a top 5 player.
it's not.
You think the Suns are going to accept a Jayson Tatum?
No. Listen. So look, that's 2018. Paul George was definitely a top 5 player in the league. Russell Westbrook was arguably a top 5 player in the league. Thunder had to blow it up to restart to get back to where they are now. If the Celtics have to do that, then they have to do it because they're almost in the same exact spot that OKC Thunder team was in.
I mean,
They are literally, that's who they remind me of 100%, is a young OKC Thunder team who year after year can't get it done, went to the finals once, underperformed, couldn't get it done, played a veteran team, couldn't get it done, and they year after year not making it out of the East, just like they couldn't make it out of the West. It's just a matter of time before they have to go that route. Because Al Horford, he's probably only got a good 1 more year left in the league, for being honest.
question. This Celtics team is so much, the starting 5 of this Celtics team, even just 5 years ago, I mean, the league was so different 5 years ago. The league, offense wasn't as good as it is now, things like that. So, but your starting 5 of that Thunder team was Russ.
What year are you talking about? You're talking about
2018.
the year with Melo or the year without Melo?
Out Melo.
So that's the year we traded them.
Yeah.
Okay, Russ, PG,
Steven Adams,
yeah.
Jeremy Grant. And he was the shoulders off the bench.
Yeah, when Roberson was healthy, he was
Ferguson?
playing. Yeah, Terrence Ferguson.
So
This Celtics starting lineup is miles better.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Lineup.
It's a big difference from saying like they couldn't get it done because that team is not near what.
No, but the expectations were high.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
Especially come playoff time, everybody expected Paul George and Russell Westbrook to take it. We see it in the regular season. I mean, they dominated in the regular season. As we see the Celtics dominate in the regular season every single year. And you know, just like the Bucks, everybody kind of thought this about the Bucks a few years ago. They dominated the regular season every single year. They could not get it done in the playoffs. But finally, Giannis made that push, got him over the hump, and got him to the finals and won. It's time for Jayson Tatum to step up and do that same thing. And if not, the Celtics are going to have to do something drastic to make a change.
Especially with having little to no draft capital.
No draft capital, no cap room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistically, what can they do?
What is Porzingis' contract? Is he under? I know he's under. Is it 2 more years?
It's either a year or 2. Same with Drew.
I think it's 2.
They both I think they both have a 2-year left.
And you don't even need, at the end of it, you shouldn't even have to rely on Drew to score even 15
Not even to
points.
score, but he's.
I will say this, Drew Holiday, I mean, the announcer was saying it because I was out last week. I actually had a chance to watch the games, which is something I usually can't do because I have other stuff going on. But this season is one of Drew Holiday's best in terms of shooting the basketball.
It's true.
No doubt.
He said that he's shooting like 65% from corner threes or something.
I think it's
ridiculous.
because the ball is in his hands more than it was on the Bucks. I mean, look at the Bucks.
I think it's less in his hands.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that.
I would say less because when he's on the Bucks, you know, he is the point guard. But how many times is Giannis bringing the ball up the court? When I'm watching the Celtics, I see Drew Holiday. Not saying he brings the ball more than Tatum or anything like that, but I definitely see him, you know, running the offense through Drew Holiday more than I do when he was on the Bucks. Because I just think this group I think is best fit for Drew Holiday because there's not like an amazing defense. Like I'm looking at the Celtics take Drew Holiday out. I'm not scared of anybody on defense when it comes to that. If I'm looking at a scouting report, I'm saying I'm saying I'm not gonna be like I can't get past that guy. But Drew Holiday is a feared defender in the league. You don't hear people say, man, I'm getting guarded by Jayson Tatum tonight. I'm not going to score. People fear Drew Holiday. People don't fear any other guy on the Celtics on the defensive end. Not saying they're bad defenders by any means, but I'm saying they're not as a high level respected defender in the league as Drew Holiday. And I think he brings that factor to the team.
I think the Celtics have the best defensive 1 and 2 in the NBA as a duo with Drew Holiday and Derek White on the starting lineup.
I mean, guard-wise, I could probably understand that. I mean, like I said, but at least because Drew doesn't normally have stats, but Drew just physically bullies you like for 94 feet. And then, I mean, Derek White obviously led league in block for guards last year. Is a really good on-ball defender. For guards, I can see that, but 1-2 tandem in the league, it's kind of hard to say, especially like with Cavs, with Jared Allen and Mobley.
Even with the Timberwolves are the #1 defensive team in the league, and I'm probably going to take
McDaniels and
Rudy.
I'll talk about guards.
Oh,
okay. Well, then, yeah. I'll absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I
I can see
wasn't
it.
saying like defensive duos.
No, I would agree with that.
Now, if we were somehow able to have gotten rid of Al Horford and kept Robert Williams instead, I think our defense would be the best in the league.
So, if you do that,
Time Lord, I will say this forever because I was so sad whenever we lost him. I'd say he was a top 2 shot blocker in the league. Especially in our finals run.
he wasn't healthy though.
Yeah, that's his problem. He can't stay healthy. He got hurt like 10 games in with the Blazers. So who's to say that doesn't happen if y'all keep him? I mean, he just can't stay healthy.
That was a result of him. On our finals run, whenever he wasn't healthy, he was going in at halftime instead of going to the locker room. He's going to the medical maybe his knee drained and going right back out there in the second half and still guarding the rim with everything he had. Like in my opinion, Robert Williams is one of the most definitions of a physical dog because he's huge, he's tall, and he can get up there to block a shot. He's not scared of jumping with anybody.
Yeah, I mean.
So the only thing with Robert is say Robert is say Al's on the team still. Say Al's just on the team that's bench. If Robert is on the team still, does he start?
Over Horford?
No, Al Horford doesn't start.
If we still had Rob right now,
Who you kick out to start? It's got to be Derek White.
Let me think. Our starting lineup right now is
Drew, Derek, Jalen, Jayson,
and Porzingis.
and Porzingis.
You have to kick Derek White.
You got to kick Derek off.
Yeah, I think we would. And Derek White, I mean, he's already been in the spot of our six man before.
Okay, great. That's fine. But my question is, how much offensively does that take a dip? Because Robert is challenged offensively.
I think
He can't score outside of 3 feet.
Can't score.
He can't score outside a foot away
Well,
from the
we-
basket.
in the offseason that he got traded, he was working on his shot and getting better mid-range and three-point shot, and we didn't get to see that at all this season because, like you said, he got hurt.
The thing is, though, one offseason, you see almost every single big man in the NBA have those offseason clips. Andre Drummond, Rob Williams. I mean, I can go probably every center in the league. I mean, Steven Adams even went through that one off. He hit a 3 in the Thunder preseason like 5 years ago. So that's just hard to implement into a game because even like Bam Adebayo could be a decent three-point shooter, but if I'm the Celtics and I'm running schemes, I am not letting Rob Williams step out and take a 3 in the corner.
Your defense, I mean, is kind of just, it's not like, because Rob is obviously 6'11", 250, like you gotta guard Rob in the paint. Obviously, he's going to bully you, but it's almost Josh Giddey-esque.
If he's stepping out, I'm giving him Ben Simmons treatment.
Sure, if he's going to go sit in the corner, fine, whatever, do whatever you want.
The thing is, he's not even a good enough shooter to, obviously, you're going to challenge it if he's shooting from the mid-post, but do you have to? I mean, and that's just a hypothetical, even if he was in the Celtics. Like, he's not anymore.
Yeah.
So looking at this roster, from 1 through 15 on the roster, this is probably the best roster the Celtics have seen in, let's say, since the 08, since they won in 08. I'll say that roster's better just because they actually got it done and won the finals. Talent-wise, it's a little iffy, but just
talent-wise, I think this team clears that.
That's what I'm saying. But just because they got it done, especially the team they got it done against, I'm saying I'm taking the 08 roster just because they won the finals. So I'm saying
and
the
their
best
infamous big three.
the best roster since 2008, right? We can agree. Best healthy roster since 2008.
Yeah.
If they don't get it done, I think it's wraps on having faith in the Celtics and faith in that group. Faith in having Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown as your 1 and 2. Faith in Jayson Tatum as a leader goes down heavily because if you're, 27, 28, if you're not leading this team to a championship, then why are you even the number 1 option? Why are you not somewhere else?
Is it scary to say that he might end up being like Paul George?
I think Paul George has I think the Clippers might have a better chance to win the finals this year than the Celtics. But based off experience.
He's not the one.
No. But
I would disagree just because of Russ going down with that.
he's back for playoffs.
He is?
Yeah, they already confirmed he's going to be back for playoffs.
Okay, I didn't hear
That'll
that.
be the same though.
I mean, it's his left hand.
I mean, true though. But I mean, he's still.
But the things he do, he's dominantly right-handed. And it's not, as a 34-year-old vet in the league, he can probably adapt. He's been through worse injuries and came out fine. But on the other side, with the Paul George comparison is Paul George on that Indiana team before he went down with the ankle injury, I think probably could have got them over the hump because of how just dominant Paul George was. There was no stopping him whether it came to playoffs, regular season, nothing. You never really seen him crumble when the spotlight was on him before that injury. I mean, we seen him go toe-to-toe with LeBron and take that,
To 7 games.
take the, one of the best teams the NBA has ever seen to 7 games twice, 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul George was 2 years into the league at that point, 3 years into the league at that point. So it's hard for me to take that comparison just because we never got to see Paul George's full growth with that Indiana team or full growth as a player in general. But like I said, if Jayson Tatum doesn't get it done this year, his legacy continues to diminish, honestly. And he has no accolades besides, besides all NBA teams, which, those, when it comes to legacy, those really aren't what people look for. Let's be honest. But people want to see rings, people want to see MVP, people want to see, defensive awards, any type of award like that. And Jayson Tatum,
Eastern Conference Final.
see, those awards don't matter to me.
I think that's the dumbest.
Those awards do not put any meaning to me at all because if you look at because Eastern Conference, let's just look at Western Conference MVP. They give it to the person who performed the best in the Western Conference Finals, on the winning team. If it's a Western Conference Finals MVP, let's say, because Luka had a phenomenal playoffs. the year they lost to the Warriors in Western Conference Finals. Phenomenal playoffs. Probably one of the best, some of the best highest scoring numbers we've seen in a while. He definitely outplayed in the playoffs every person on the Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
And the MVP goes to Steph because they won. So if it's a Western Conference MVP, I think it should go to the best player that performed the best in the Western Conference. Yes, I understand the winning team aspect. That makes sense. But it's not it's a Western Conference Western Conference MVP. That's how I gotta look at it.
That brings up another question. Do y'all think that the MVP award should stretch out of the regular season and into the playoffs?
No, we talked about that in the last episode. It definitely shouldn't because we like we said, Jokic 2 years in a row went back to back as the 6th seed and the 4th seed and didn't make it out of the first round. Same with Russ, won it his year, didn't make it out of the first round. It's not a playoff award. It's a regular season award.
Here's something in football. I forget how many of the last MVP winning quarterbacks to make the Super Bowl have won. It's like 0. It's been over like 30 years since the last MVP winning quarterback has won a Super Bowl.
Because it's a regular season award. It's the person who performs the best out of the regular. Not even the person that performs the best. The most valuable player on their team.
The only person that's ever done it was like Tom Brady. But I mean, it's just the same. It's the same correlation. It doesn't really matter to the postseason as it does.
And it should.
Right? Yeah.
Because, it shouldn't. So, where does Jayson Tatum stand? Just final part of it. Where does Jayson Tatum stand if they don't win it all this year? Where does he stand as a player, as a player with his legacy? Where does he stand?
I say
He's still gonna be a top 10.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
top 5 player.
I'm saying where does his role kind of fall? What kind of happens with him going forward if he can't make it happen as the number 1 option with this amazing squad that Celtics have?
It depends on how they lose.
Let's say they lose in the finals.
If it's like
it depends on.
It was like
injuries, like last.
I'm saying no hypotheticals. They have the roster. Nobody's hurt right now. They have the roster. They've been performing well in the playoffs. Take this roster, put them into the playoffs. They don't win it all. What happens to Jayson Tatum?
Depends on how he plays.
Exactly. So if let's say, I'm saying every year in the playoffs, Jayson Tatum arguably is the reason they haven't went forward. Obviously last year, Jaylen Brown completely sold out in that Game 7 with all those turnovers.
And Jayson Tatum got injured in the second play of the game, first play of the game.
But he played the rest of the game. So if you're going to play the rest of the game, you can't add that. I feel like that's how I see it.
I very disagree with that. It's a Game 7 to go to the finals, and
he tweaked his ankle. Caleb Martin did the same thing 3 plays later and still performed well and got them the win. He was arguably the best player in that Game 7, Caleb Martin was, and still rolled his ankle just like Jayson Tatum did. So it's just, if he's a number 1 option, a superstar in the league, tweaks his ankle, you got to be able to play through it and go get the win. And especially if you're a higher seed than that Heat team. You're putting your best players on the floor for a reason, and he has not been able to make it happen year after year.
I think Tatum gets blamed because he's the number 1 option, because he's in the MVP talks almost every season he plays. But people need to look at like the actual teams. The year that they lost to LeBron. And
nobody blames Jayson for that. He was a rookie.
No,
Nobody blames him.
I'm just saying, throughout the course of his career, look at the situations that the Celtics have gone through. How many years have they been fully healthy all the way?
People have not started talking bad about Jayson Tatum until they did not win the finals. That is when the hate started, and that's when it deserved to start, is when he could not make it happen for them in the finals. Yes, I understand the hand injury. We've seen the same thing with LeBron in 2017 when he broke his hand against the Warriors, dropped 51, and they lost. Yes, we've seen it time and time again. But you don't hear these reports until after they lose, until they need an excuse. I'm not saying he didn't break his hand or didn't need surgery, but it's convenient how you don't hear these things until it matters. That's not even with Jayson Tatum. It's with every single NBA player that happens because they always need a reason to fall back on.
You said it perfectly. I can't say any better than that.
If they don't make it happen this year, I can't even, it's hard for me to not root for Jayson Tatum. Obviously, I want them to be successful because I am a fan of his. I think he's a damn good player, and I was hyped when the Celtics drafted him. But year after year, he can't, talk like he's the, one of the top 2 guys in the league, top 3 guys in the league, like he likes to say he is, if he can't go out there and prove that in the regular season, or in the postseason.
I have a question for you. What's the difference between Jayson Tatum and his number 1 option and his legacy with Russ and his years in OKC and then everywhere else? I mean, take out the Wizards. That team wasn't going to do anything, but he still carried them to the play-in spot.
The teams that Jayson Tatum has had have been so much better than the teams that Russ had all his years with the Thunder.
It's just a question.
I just answered it. You can't compare the two when one has had way better teams than the other has had. And Russ also got an MVP award out of it and proved that he was the top guy in the league. I mean, everybody that has played against Russ has said, this guy, there was nothing we could do against him. There is nothing, when in his prime, there was nothing we could do. Jayson Tatum, his roster this year is better than any roster that's ever been put in front of Russ. True or not true?
That's true.
As a number 1 option, with Russ being a number 1 option, no team that he's had, even when he was second option when KD was there, no team has been better than the team that the Celtics have now. Even the Celtics team last year is arguably better than some of the teams that Russ had. Because for, 6 years, it was just him and KD.
And their bench was always terrible.
The Celtics have always had a deep team, no matter what. So that's just a bad comparison because
I'm just saying you compare the Celtics to
I'm saying
Thunder.
the way they have been acting because they started out young, made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals with a young team. Thunder went to the finals with a young team. Then the Thunder make the finals again. Then they make it to the Western Conference Finals almost every single year after that. The Celtics made it to the finals, have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals almost every single year after that. I'm saying the way that their teams have went, that's what I'm comparing them as. Not the talent, not anything like that. Just the way their paths have went, it's very similar. So, Jayson Tatum has had way better teams.
Ample opportunity.
Yeah. The year they played against the Warriors in the finals, they were up 2-0 and they sold it. They had the opportunity to close it out, and they didn't.
But Curry also had, in my opinion, and what I have witnessed, the greatest finals performance one of the greatest finals performance I have ever seen. Right, I think it goes right next to LeBron's 3-1 that I have witnessed in my lifetime.
I mean, it was a great finals performance.
I think it's up there.
But if you look at how, Jordan Poole absolutely torched the Celtics game 3 through 6. Jordan Poole was arguably the 3rd best player in those finals on the Warriors team.
We said this last episode, the Warriors don't win without Andrew Wiggins.
And Andrew Wiggins literally made Jayson Tatum look like a 3rd option almost, some games, some moments. Andrew Wiggins, don't get me wrong, was a number 1 pick, is a great player, but he definitely isn't as good as Jayson Tatum. And Jayson Tatum should have outperformed him in the finals. In that stretch, the Warriors won 4 in a row. 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Marcus Smart heavily underperformed in those 4-game stretch as well. Didn't play as great as defense as he definitely could have. So
that's another reason why I think that even if we lose it this year, we give this team that we have another chance. Because it took us so long. And I said that we shouldn't for the longest time, but after watching the Heat series last year, you guys heard me say it a lot. I said we need to move on from Marcus Smart. And he ended up going to Memphis. We ended up getting Drew. So I think we give this team a couple of years.
A couple of years. You can't. You can't because Drew is getting older. Kristaps is getting older. Kristaps, this is the one season he's actually been healthy for a full season. Al Horford is getting older. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown they're plateauing as superstars. They are plateauing. Jayson Tatum has not done anything better than the last 3 years this year. He has been the same player the last 3 years. Same with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's honestly gotten worse the last 3 years. I've never seen this many turnovers come from a second option. And then Al Horford probably, like I said, probably has a year left in the league, maybe 2, as a he could probably stick it out for 5 if he wanted to, but he's going to be sitting the bench. But as a player who's going to contribute, he has maybe 1 to 2 years left.
He's already dwindling. I have seen that.
Exactly. And Drew Holiday isn't young. He's not getting any younger. And he's going to...
He did say he wants to retire in Boston.
Even if he does say that, that doesn't mean his talents are going to keep getting better. He's going to start to dwindle. Everybody is going to. Kristaps, like I said, hasn't had a full healthy season since he was drafted. So you can't rely on this team to make a 2-year run. This is the year that they're going to have to get it done. Everybody's healthy. Everything's going good in the regular season. If they don't get it done this year, it's a bust. All those moves were made for nothing.
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
And it's another team that made a big trade that is going to have to pay off pretty soon is the Timberwolves, because they gave up a lot for Rudy Gobert. A lot. They gave a lot of draft picks, a lot of players, and last year they didn't do anything. They made it the play-in game, and they beat OKC, made it to the first round, didn't do anything.
But also, no
Nas Reed.
No Nas Reed and no Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and then this year, they've been the 1 seed pretty much back and forth with OKC the whole year. They just dropped to the 3 seed because Cat has been injured for 2 weeks. And realistically, it's a torn meniscus. We've seen players come back from it. We've seen players' career fall off completely because of it. Where does the T-Wolves stand, going into the postseason, even the rest of the season, because they are now only 2 games ahead of the Clippers, and the Clippers are the 4th seed. So do you think they can even hold a top 3 spot without Cat?
I mean, their offense is bad.
There's 16 games left in the season, I believe, for them.
Their offense is already bad. They're not a great shooting team. Since Cat has gone out, they put Kyle Anderson in the starting lineup. I mean, he's only a 20% three-point shooter. He's a horrible shooter. Good playmaker, does everything else.
I'm starting Nas Reed.
He is starting. He has been starting.
Oh, they said Kyle Anderson.
No, they have, but Nas has played over Gobert when he hasn't played.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's literally with the rise, the way Anthony Edwards has been playing lately has been unbelievable.
Well, I wouldn't say, okay, are you talking about in the last, let's say, 5-game stretch or just this season?
It's the season.
Okay, as I say, his 5-game stretch without Cat has been horribly inconsistent. That game against the Cavs where they went to OT, he didn't score in the 4th quarter. He did not score in overtime. He is another number 1 option. I mean, he's young. He's what?
He's 22.
That's what I'm saying. But you've held the 1 seed all season long. Back and forth, let's say it. Back and forth. But if your second option goes out, you can't just fall off. Like, that's just not, if you want to be a superstar in the league like he talks himself to be, you can't just fall off because your second option went away. You have to be able to score in those big moments, in the 4th quarter. You can't go scoreless from 2:38 left in the 3rd quarter to the end of the game. Am I wrong?
I mean, no, but it's at the end of the game. It's just a regular season game.
Yes, but a regular season game that happens. What happens when the lights are bright in the playoffs?
Well,
I hate that argument saying regular season doesn't matter.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. Like I said.
No, I'm saying like regular season game. Oh, it's just a regular season game.
Yeah, because if you're not performing well in the regular season, how are you going to perform well when the lights are bright in the playoffs?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, by himself against the Nuggets last year, he played really well.
They won 1 game.
He played really well in every game.
But I'm just saying we're not even talking about last year. We're talking
Well,
about
you
this year.
asked the question.
I'm not diminishing Anthony Edwards. I'm not saying
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm saying I just took what you said that he's been playing unbelievable. I'm talking about we are talking about since Cat has been injured. What are the Timberwolves looking like? We're not talking about prior. We are talking about since Cat has went down. How are the Timberwolves going to be able to handle that? Because they can't if their number 1 option isn't going to perform.
I think they're going to be just fine because they still have the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
By a pretty big margin. And even with Ant's little inconsistent the last 4 or 5 games, I think he's still going to be where he should be, play just as well as he's absolutely capable of playing. I think they're going to be. I think if anything, they'll probably finish. I think they'll finish 3rd.
I don't see.
I think
They'll finish top 5 for sure, 100%. Because the Mavs, I think, are too far back to catch up that far. I don't.
New Orleans is 5, and
I think
Phoenix is 6.
New Orleans could make a run, I mean, we've seen them go on stretches, we've seen them not, so it's really hard to say. They've also been really inconsistent, really unhealthy. A healthy Pelicans team is one of the scariest teams to see come playoff time, I think. But I think Minnesota's probably going to finish 3 or 4. I think the Clippers probably pass them because, like I said, they're only 2 games back, and Minnesota has a tough schedule to end the year.
I do what I will say for the Wolves is the bench is better.
Yeah.
They have more options off the bench than they have in the last couple
Nickeil
of years.
Alexander Walker has been playing
You know,
amazing.
And they have, guess who, they signed that has barely played is TJ Warren.
Yeah.
TJ Warren's a really good scorer, can come off the bench at any time, can start if they wanted him to. I think Jay McNeils is going to take a bigger step forward. He's going to have more responsibility. He's already one of the best defenders in the league. That's what he's been since he entered the league. I think, and then the more opportunity Nas gets, even though Nas is undersized and only at 6'9", Nas is a bucket.
Yeah, no, he can shoot the ball well, he can finish.
He's actually a pretty good defender
He
for
can
his
dribble
size.
drive.
Yes. I think
He gives the Thunder hell in every matchup against him.
that's why I wanted him to come to OKC.
Yeah, but come playoff time without Cat, I mean, they get matched up with
I
somebody.
think he comes back.
I don't think he does. Why would you?
They said he could come back and pop out the second or third game of the playoffs.
I would not risk it because they'll have the same team next year. I mean, why? That's like the same thing with Joel Embiid. Why risk coming back when yes, you do have a chance?
The Cat's only 27, 28?
Yeah, so why risk it? Because if you're 27, 28, pushing your body to the limit, after just tearing your meniscus a week ago, I mean, yes, he was averaging, 23 points a game for them, so that's a big drop-off in offense. I mean, it's just hard. I don't think they make it out of the first round without Cat, if we're being honest, depending on what matchup they pull.
It sucks because Cat is shooting over 40% from 3, and he's really only been their elite, their only true sniper this year. Cat is 28.
Yeah.
So it's the difference because the team without Cat is not amazing shooting wise, but if you can be the #1 defensive team in the playoffs like you have all regular season,
But that number is gonna end up falling down.
it should.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna fall down, but because they were such a hard matchup. Because you have two, Cat 6'10", but let's say 2 7-footers at your 4 and 5, and then you have Anthony Edwards up top. So that 3 alone is just a hard team to score on. Because Ant is a good defender. He moves his feet very well, tips a lot of passes. We've seen him strip Paul George on a nice move the other night. But you take away a 7-footer, guarding a 4, that's a hard thing to replace. Yes, Nas Reed can come in and do it, but it's not going to be on the same level offensively and defensively of Karl-Anthony Towns. So realistically, bias aside, I know you're a Wolves fan. So, bias aside, where do they fall in the playoffs, and can they still have a chance without Cat?
If they were to match up against the Kings, I think they could still win.
Sabonis has been incredible.
That doesn't do anything for me.
He destroys Anthony Davis in every single matchup.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Hey,
You're not wrong, but okay.
because Anthony Davis is arguably one of the best defenders in the league. Post defenders in the league, and Sabonis is continuously, broken that matchup down. So would you say Rudy Gobert is a better defender than Anthony Davis? This year.
No. I assume the simple fact is AD has done it more on the perimeter.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert honestly isn't.
He could. It just depends who it is. But as good as Sabonis is, because he's not a great shooter, I think the Wolves could definitely knock off the Kings if they were to match up in a 7-game series. I think it just depends on who they match up with.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I just can't see the Timberwolves making the run that they could have made, without Cat.
True.
Because let's say they do get a Kings in the first round matchup, they get out of that first round matchup, then you match up with somebody like, let's say, OKC, let's say the Suns, let's say somebody like that. That's going to be hard to do without your 23-point per game score, because OKC is so good offensively that they run the ball, they run the court so well, and then losing Cat, that's a big matchup problem down the road with a team like OKC. Not saying because they have great bigs, but we've seen Chet, get past Rudy on the perimeter, not with ease, but definitely get past him. And then Cat's usually there in the paint, sitting and waiting, but you don't have that anymore. And he's not just tall, he's a big body. So I don't think they realistically can make it out of the second round.
I mean, that's probably fair. But I don't think they're a first round, like a solid.
I would say they're a solid first round exit.
Yeah,
I don't think you could say
about any team
is.
in the West. Yeah.
And
Literally 1 through 10, you can all say can win 2 playoff series.
yeah, I mean, the West is so tight this year. It's insane. It's like last year. I mean, I think the West this year is tighter than last year, but we got here. Yeah, I mean, the Nuggets are at 46 wins, and the Warriors are 11.5 games back at the 10th seed. The Warriors have underperformed all year up to this point, and they went on that little run where they won
They should have just benched Chris Paul.
well, he was hurt for most of the year.
I know, I'm just saying. They're playing better without him.
Yeah, and then they went on that run where they won 8 out of their 10 games
Yeah.
on that road trip, and then because they were the 12th seed, and they pushed back to the 10th, and the Lakers have definitely made a push here late. They won 4 games in a row in the last week and a half. No, they lost their last game, and then Dallas, they're on a 4-game winning streak right now. So that 10 through 7, honestly, is anybody's game. They're only separated by 2 games.
Hypothetically, right now, if the playoffs started, no playing, who would the Timberwolves matchup be?
No play-in, 1 through 8.
It would be Sacramento.
Yeah.
3 and 6.
So who's gonna?
Right now, as of this very moment,
Yeah, 7-game series.
I would still take Minnesota because of the defense.
I'm not saying it's a clean like Minnesota. I'm saying
it's like a 6-game series.
it's going to be a gritty series for sure.
Because Sacramento defensively is really bad.
Well, let's see. So my bad. Clippers are 4 games back from Minnesota. Those are 4 games back. So they're 3 games back from Minnesota. Yeah. And Minnesota's next, games are Utah. They play Utah back to back. So, I mean, Utah has been a team that has caused problems for higher ranked teams because
They just play hard.
they play hard. Then you got the Nuggets,
That's just
then the
Nuggets.
Cavs, then the Warriors, and then you have the Pistons. But then you turn around and play the Nuggets again, then the Bulls. So their schedule at the end of the season isn't easy. So they do have a chance to fall off, but I think Ham's a good enough player to keep him in it.
I do too.
I think they'll be fine going forward, but I think they're going to end up being in the same situation as a Celtics team next year if they can't get it done because of how much money how much draft picks they gave up and players for Rudy. They don't have a lot of leverage going forward.
Do you think they would be better right now if they never made that trade?
No.
Because their defense
That was
was
their biggest problem.
Their defense was so subpar.
Cat is not good enough to be defend the 5.
Yeah, he's too short. I mean, he's 6'10", or 6'9", 6'10".
He's not short. It's just that he's just not good defensive.
Well,
Melo is 6'9", but Melo's a terrible defender.
I mean, Cat, I'm not saying he's definitely gotten tougher over the years, but the last 2 years before this, he was pretty soft. And this year, he's definitely stepped it up, being the 4 instead of the 5. I don't think he's not tough enough to play the 5, honestly.
He kind of just doesn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, we all know the DeMarcus Cousins pick, where DeMarcus Cousins is full on just Wildcats posting him up, so he's soft. But
That's a reason that he's a shooting big.
yeah, I mean, we've seen his 60-point game performance.
He's the best shooting big man of all time. I think so.
What do y'all think about the move from the coach to bench Cat during that?
Because he was shooting them out of the game. Once he hit he was at I think 50 or 52, he started chucking up bad shots. Even the Timberwolves players came out and said they were telling Cat to keep shooting and keep shooting to get the 60.
And Chris Finch said that in the postgame. That was the worst game, one of the worst games.
Because if you actually look at his splits that game, he had did he have 60 exactly?
Yeah.
Or 61 or something? Yeah. If you look at his fourth quarter shooting splits, they were horrendous because of how many shots. If you look at his shot chart, he was chucking shots from the outside, and a lot of them were heavily contested or him coming off a screen going left. When do you ever see Karl-Anthony Towns dribble off a screen going left and pull up? Never. Like that's not in his bag, I guess. But
Just not very often.
yeah, I mean it's just not his big man bag. But another big man that's showed a lot of promise this year that we've already said you hated on coming into the NBA. Victor Wembanyama has been phenomenal this year. I mean, has proved a lot of people wrong and proved a lot of people to be overly right because he has exceeded the expectations for his rookie year, if we're being honest.
I've been seeing comparisons. I mean, obviously the teams are way different and bad, but I've been seeing comparisons of Wemby's rookie year to LeBron's rookie year, or defensively, like Rudy Gobert's DPOY season compared to Wemby's season right now.
Yeah.
And they're very similar.
Yeah,
I also think there's a difference in that because this time generates so much more shots than 5 years.
Yeah, that's what he said. I mean, Rudy Gobert I'm pretty sure he averaged like 3 blocks a game when he won Rookie of the Year, or not Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. When he's averaging like 2.8 or something like that. I think Chet's averaging like 2.3. Like the league has definitely changed a lot since then. It even changed a lot from LeBron's rookie year because, like, if you inflate the numbers to now, they're probably pretty similar. Like LeBron probably, because he averaged 23 his rookie year, and I mean, if you inflate those numbers to compare with how many shots are taken now, he's probably going to average, somewhere around the 26 range because of just how much the game has, how much shots have changed.
Yeah.
So Wemby has been phenomenal. I mean, the Spurs are just so bad at.
I really wish the Spurs would have gotten the number 1 pick.
You know who schematically would fit them perfectly, point guard? Healthy, Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, realistically, he's looking great in his comeback.
Clear for basketball activities.
He can make cuts now instead
Exactly.
of practice. But so Wemby right now, he's averaging. I think he was at one point averaging 20. I think he's averaging about 18 or 19 now, maybe like 18.6 per game. The 2.8 blocks or whatever it is. His shooting splits have drastically improved from 2 months ago when Chet was, or 3 months ago when Chet was 40, 50, 90, and Wemby was barely getting that 40 mark. And so his handles have improved. His passing hasn't really got there yet as a passing big man, but
They had come to time.
and he's definitely gotten stronger since the season started.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell by
He's
his build.
starting to figure it out.
I mean, he's 7'4", 210. I'm pretty sure he came in at 205. So where do you see Wemby in 5 years improving as a player? How much, like you said, how much can he improve, and how much are his numbers going to change, and how do you think just the league changes in a whole with Wemby improving, and not even just Wemby, but just Chet as well, like the two future faces of the NBA eventually, maybe 5-6 years from now. How does it change the league, but how does it change Wemby's career, and how much does he improve?
I see Wemby's career turning out, if not better than Giannis's. Giannis came in, he was a slim, kind of scrappy post player. Wemby sat taller and lengthier, and we saw Giannis's transformation and how much he actually put the work into the weight room to build muscle so he could actually compete. If we can see Wemby do that,
If you can see Wemby just
Well,
do
the
half of what he
thing
did.
is, Giannis came in 3 years and was like a no-name. I mean, Giannis didn't become a name until 2017, and Wemby's already came in and averaging 20 is going to win the Rookie of the Year. Giannis
If he had a point guard, could have probably damn near been an all-star.
Giannis wasn't even in that conversation coming in. He, barely played. He shot a lot of threes actually coming in. They changed his jump shot with his build. So I think Wemby is definitely going to have a better career than Giannis. Not saying maybe, I don't know how many rings he's going to win, but numbers-wise, he's only going to get better.
if he stays in San Antonio, I don't think he's going to get anything.
I think he can if they build.
I literally think it just matters if he gets a legit point guard.
Because
Who I would love to see Wemby go to, and at least soon, would be the Rockets with Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Sengun, him, and Jalen Green. Under MA's coaching.
I think if you bring Wemby into the Rockets, you stall Sengun's growth because he is their post guy. He is the one. So I think 3 point guards that could realistically change the game for Wemby is going to be Trae Young. I think Lonzo Ball is a great choice, and Tyrese Halliburton. Those three are are three of the best.
Indy's not giving up.
No. I'm not saying.
Oh, yeah,
I'm just saying.
yeah.
Realistically, those are three. Even if Wemby won it out but he, I think he's going to go the Tim Duncan route, and I honestly think he's going to be a Spur for a long time.
I do too.
Not saying he's going to spend his whole career there, but I think he's.
I think he'll be a Spur until Pop is gone.
And Pop is on a 5-year extension right now.
True.
But Pop could easily just retire. I could pay him that money anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's in his 70s and 80s now.
And he
so.
says no care of slowing down.
Yeah, but Wemby going forward, I mean, so let's just look at him this year. 18 points, let's say 18 points a game, almost 3 blocks. In next year, how much can he, go forward in points?
I mean, the sky's the limit for the kid.
But I'm saying, realistically, what do you think he puts up next year?
Next year, I can see him solid.
You think he can improve all the way to 25 points a game by next year?
Yeah. I mean, what is the world where he couldn't do that?
So yeah, he's averaging 20 points a game, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists. One thing with Wemby is his turnovers. He has turned the ball over a lot. And not saying he averages a lot of turnovers. I'm pretty sure he averages like 2 or 3, which isn't great for a big man, but that's also not bad for a big man. But I'm saying you see them lose the ball a lot because they catch it. People are swiping down. But he turns the ball over a lot while trying to ISO. But like I said, his handles have gotten better. But going forward, he has one of the best developmental coaches with Pop.
Absolutely.
We've seen him turn
David Robinson.
David Robinson. We've seen Tim Duncan. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. Not even just post players. All these players become Kawhi Leonard, become greats in the league. Danny Green even. I mean, so. Going forward with his career, what are the moves that San Antonio is going to have to make, besides getting him a point guard to, make that jump to get them in playoff contention?
Definitely trading for Trae Young.
I'm saying, besides getting a point guard.
Get rid of Sochan because
I don't think so.
I don't think he's
I think if you play him at the correct position,
yeah,
he's not a point guard.
No.
I think if you play him at a small forward,
yeah,
then you're fine. And also, their chemistry is great between
they
us.
like playing together.
I think you've got to get rid of Keldon Johnson. You've got to step away from Keldon Johnson. Because
People thought he
at
was.
the beginning of the year, he was playing good.
But then he got hurt. Then when he came back, he wasn't the same. And then I think you also have to step away from Devin Vassell because he's because he's one of those guys that does not give Wemby's looks. He is one of those guys that is. He's
a shooting guard. He's not supposed to.
Okay, but the thing is, it doesn't matter. If I'm a shooting guard and I see a 7'4" guy standing in the post wide open with a little guy on him, I'm throwing it up. It don't matter if I'm a 1 through 5. I could be Zach Collins and I'm throwing it up.
I don't care who I am, how good I am. If I see Wembanyama in the paint on anybody, that he can just grab the ball, put it up, and then just drop the ball.
You know how many plays I've seen Devin Vassell try to ISO and turn it over?
Don't say that, because it's not even that many. It's more Trae Young's and Keldon Johnson's fault. It's not Devin Vassell.
I'm not saying it's just Devin Vassell or he's the
You're
worst.
really
one.
just trying to no.
Because I already said step away from Keldon Johnson. I already said step away from him. I already made my point for him. But I'm saying I think you step away because if you're going to trade for a guy like Trae Young, you're going to have to give up pieces like that.
So give up Keldon.
You're going to have to give up more than Keldon Johnson for Trae Young.
They're going to want picks too.
They are going to want more than just one player. I'm them. I am because they're going to have a good pick this year. You can easily step away from Vassell and Johnson, make a solid pick this year, and have them take the spot of them. Get a new shooting guard in the draft. Put Cody Williams at shooting guard. I am not sold on anybody on the Spurs team besides Wemby, and I would say keep Sochan because of the chemistry, because he doesn't play the correct position, and he has shown great moments of being a really good defender, and he's shown improvement every year.
Yeah.
Keldon Johnson has kind of stalled out since the last
season and a half.
A season and a half, yeah. So I think the GM for the Spurs.
He's 6'6", playing power forward. A little undersized.
I mean, that's like J-Dub.
Yeah, but J-Dub's like a wingspan. And J-Dub's body is better.
I mean,
You know what I mean.
One thing I would love to see, just because of how little options the Spurs have, is if they were to sign Isaiah Thomas and then have him at point.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop.
Because that's an additional however many points a game.
You're telling me you're going to expect 5'9" guy to throw it up to the 7'4" guy, the 5'9" guy that can't defend a traffic cone.
He doesn't fit their timeline.
He's not even a passer either.
He's 35.
He's 35. He's not a passer. He's a score-first point guard. He's 5'9". Hasn't had a solid role in the league since 2018. Why would you want to bring him in? Don't get me wrong.
He deserves a job.
Bro, because he's hooping in the G League? Yeah, he should be hooping in the G League.
He's never stopped hooping.
That's what I'm saying.
He wouldn't start on any team in the league right now.
He should be putting up those numbers in the G League as many years as he spent in the NBA. Yes, he's still a good player, but he's not starter fit.
Why would he even himself probably wouldn't even entertain that idea of playing for a team that's nowhere close to winning a ring.
That's ridiculous. If he's going that's
a clip. Clip that one.
That's a
clip.
mistake. Oh my goodness. All right. Anyways, yeah, Wemby's definitely gonna have. They're gonna have to bring in an elite, not even just elite scoring point guard, elite passing point guard. So somebody like Trae Young or Lonzo Ball. That makes perfectly good sense.
Perfect.
And I could see the Bulls stepping away from Lonzo Ball in the near future. So if that's a move that the Spurs.
It's not even Zoe's fault.
No.
It's because of Kobe White.
And Kobe White's out right now. His MRI came back. He tore something in his thigh.
Well, when somebody, I forget when the Bulls game landed on him.
Yeah, but I think somebody like Lonzo coming in and just honestly crazy thing to think about. Like maybe like Scoot Henderson coming over to the Spurs because he has proved not to be a scoring threat yet. I think he obviously can be, but imagine that's your 1 and 2 go-to guys, Scoot Henderson and Wembanyama, and Scoot gets a dribble drive and throws it up to Wemby on the other side.
Question.
One thing I would, if he could stay healthy, one thing that would be so entertaining to watch is LaMelo and Wemby.
Yeah, I just don't think the Hornets can ever step away from him because I think they're also building their own thing over there.
It's not.
LaMelo needs to get some ankle braces.
It does wear him. Just same thing with Lonzo. Lonzo wears a knee
No,
brace
it's
and
just-
still messes his knee up.
LaMelo just got young Steph Curry.
Exactly what happened to Steph.
Yeah.
Steph, his first 3 years in the league, couldn't stay healthy with his ankles.
His ankles were soft.
And he comes in year 5 and just messes the league up.
I want to see LaMelo succeed so bad.
We all do.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just a matter of
I think, if I'm being honest,
He's even playing.
I think LaMelo cares more about the money than he does winning. I think if the Hornets are going to continue to pay him big bills, I don't think he's going to leave the team because I think eventually, Brandon Miller's going to be great in the league.
Question
So
right now. Who do you think? Would you rather Anthony Simons or LaMelo Ball?
right now,
Right now.
I would have to say Simon just because based off how their careers have went.
Well, no, just player for player. I'm taking Simons.
Well, if you're saying player for player, I'm going to take.
They're both horrible defenders.
If you're saying player for player, I'm going to take LaMelo because
I'm taking Simons.
But if I'm saying how their careers have gone for right now, I'm taking Simons because LaMelo can't stay healthy.
I'm taking Simons either way.
That's ridiculous.
They're both horrendous
I would take
defenders.
LaMelo.
They're both horrendous defenders.
I
Simons is
would
the
say
better.
LaMelo's horrendous.
I think Simons is better at 3 levels than LaMelo is. Simons is way more physical than Melo is.
LaMelo's, in my opinion.
LaMelo is pure finesse.
In my opinion, LaMelo is one of the better playmakers.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, you can never downplay him as a playmaker.
And he can still shoot the lights out whenever he wants to.
Shoot the
Off and on.
He's very
Off and on.
he's
There's
very
a couple lights are flickering.
He's inconsistent.
That's why I say whenever he wants to. But
Why do we have
a
question?
It looks like he cares
Hold
more
on,
about
hold on.
making money than
Hold on.
winning games.
That is my least favorite. I know I say it too. But that is my least favorite thing people
Whatever
say
he
when wants to.
Yeah.
Just do it then.
Well, because they're NBA players. At the end of the day, it's a end of the
Like when
day.
Kevin Durant said he could score average 60 for
Well,
you.
because I can see why he says that, because at the end of the day, it doesn't help the team. If he averages 60,
Right.
those are taking touches away from other guys. So I get what he's saying by
And
that.
that would make the team chemistry drop and drop.
Yeah.
Well, I think the definition of LaMelo is
I mean, I think he cares more about the fame and the entertainment part,
Yeah,
and
he's
getting the highlights.
He's the NBA version of a clip farmer. He wants to be flashy. He wants to look flashy. He wants to be on.
Like Jalen Green.
Got the tattoos.
He wants to be.
I think Jalen Green's the same exact way.
He wants to be on the top 10
Jalen Green
plays of the week.
is not doing it for me anymore.
He's
It's
not
been
great.
so bad.
He's so inconsistent.
But
All the potential in the world.
I mean, you know, we spoke about the Timberwolves. You know how they're going to perform in the playoffs. You know, we talked about them playing against the Nuggets last year. You know, the Nuggets obviously went on to win the NBA Finals last year. You know, realistically, are they the favorites to repeat this year? Like, are they not just favorites to repeat? Obviously, they're favorites to repeat because they won it last year. But are they the favorites to win it all again?
They are. I think they should be, just because out of respect and plus what playoff time, the rises that they have, and they get better defensively in the playoffs. So I think that's a fair statement. That's all I can say about that.
I think it's hard because Bruce Brown was a big part of the playoff run last year.
If they would still have Bruce Brown, I'd be like, all right, yeah, whatever.
I mean, Christian Braun has definitely stepped up, but losing Bruce Brown definitely hurt. But Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan, the way they've stepped up off the bench, you know,
Aaron Gordon's gotten better.
Aaron Gordon
So good.
is
So
phenomenal, and MPJ keeps getting better. Even their rookie that they drafted in his last draft has been performing well.
Strawberry.
Yeah, he's been performing well too. I mean, he's kind of like a Christian Braun part two, honestly, and.
I think Aaron Gordon's not talked about enough. Whenever they
Top
play-
5 most underrated.
Whenever I watched them play the Celtics obviously lost, but Aaron Gordon, I was just like, he reminded me of his prime. And
I mean, I don't think he's ever let. I mean, the only like he's honestly better than he was when he was on the Magic, because on the Magic he wasn't anything but a highlight reel and a mid defender. Now he's a great defender.
Phenomenal defender.
His shot is so much better. His handles are so much better.
And it's so funny. Everybody just leaves him wide open and he'll drill it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he turns into prime Steph when he plays against OKC. That's for sure. He torches the hell out of OKC every single time. Every single time.
I will say this though, it's hard for at least me to see the Thunder not beating anybody in a 7-game series.
Honestly, it's hard for me to see any top 5 team in the West losing in a 7-game series. Like, obviously somebody has to lose, but matchups 1 through 5 is insane because, you know, 1 through 3, Denver, OKC, Timberwolves. I'm gonna take Timberwolves out just because cat. So let's just say LA, Denver, and OKC, LA Clippers, OKC, and Denver. I wouldn't want to see either of those 3 teams in a 7-game series. If I'm OKC, obviously you wouldn't see Denver until, you know, the end, but I wouldn't want to see the Nuggets at all because Jokic and Jamal Murray are just so phenomenal in the playoffs. Clippers, they have all the experience in the world. I mean, we've seen them perform against teams night in and night out. They've dominated.
And if they can stay healthy, I think they would have given the Nuggets a run for their money last year if they would have stayed healthy.
I mean,
they didn't have Paul George. It was basically
They didn't have Paul George. They lost Kawhi after game 1.
it was a Russ and Kawhi thing, and then Kawhi goes down, and then it's all Russ. And
Yeah.
I will say, Russ played amazing. You know how you feel about Russ sometimes, but he played amazing last year.
Yeah, and he's been great on the bench this year. He's definitely was a 6th man of the year contender up until the injury, and
I think he was going to win it anyway.
I said contender. I mean, he was definitely a top 3 consideration. But at the end of the day, the
Top 3?
Who else?
we got Malik Monk.
Malik Monk, Nas Reed.
I'm saying okay. You can say those guys are probably. I'm not even talking about numbers wise. I think 6th man of the year goes deeper than just numbers. I think it goes deeper as the team chemistry. What are you bringing on the energy from the bench to lead that group? I mean, you could say Nas Reed, but I don't think he brings the same impact as Russ does for the Clippers as he does for the Timberwolves. If that makes sense.
I mean, does that mean does Lou Williams bring the same impact as the bunch of other guys that have won the award?
I mean, Lou Williams is arguably the best 6th man of all time.
I still don't think Russ.
Who made a bigger impact as a six-man? Malcolm Brogdon last year or Russ this year? Because Malcolm Brogdon made a big impact coming off the
Probably Brogdon.
Well, you really can't answer that right now because the season's not over yet. Come playoff time, obviously, come playoff time, if the Clippers, end up, doing what people expect them to do, you're gonna say Russ. But
I still think
numbers-wise, obviously, Brogdon put up better numbers, but I just think impact-wise.
just because defensively, Brogdon was good enough to guard 1 through 3. I think I would take Brogdon.
But I'm just saying, this year, just looking at it impact-wise, leading the first group-wise, everything like that, or leading the second group-wise, I think Russ probably was a top, 3 to 4 contender for Sixth Man of the Year. Obviously, that hurts the Clippers, be back for playoffs, but I think Denver could not easily repeat. But if somebody said, "Hey, do you think Denver can win it all this year?" For sure. Yeah, I mean,
you can say that about. I'd say I'm gonna look at the standings.
And there's really every team in the West.
Well,
Any team
see,
in the West has a
I'm
chance.
saying every team has a chance, but if you confidently ask me, if they were like, would you bet money that Denver's gonna win it all? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've proven time and time, they proved it.
If I was in Vegas and I was given $100 to place on the West to win the finals and on the East to win the finals, for the East I would say Boston, obviously, and for the West, honestly, I would say the Clippers.
I think the Clippers
He
should.
wants it.
I want the Clippers to win it all. I want it to be a Clippers-Boston matchup. I want the Clippers to win it all. But if I had, obviously, I want OKC to do the same thing. But if I'm putting all my money down, I'm going with Denver because they did it last year. Yeah, I mean, they did it last year, and they have basically brought back the same exact team minus Bruce Brown. So
Mike Malone's one of the best coaches in the league.
yeah, you can't count them out. So
I would say standing wise, besides the Pelicans 1 through 9 in the West, that they could make it to the finals. And for the East,
Make it to the final, sure, but win the whole thing?
that's why I
1
said
through
Denver.
9.
Yeah.
That the 1 through 9, Denver. Okay,
I don't think the Kings can. The Kings, no.
But and then at 7, 8, 9, you got.
I don't think the Mavericks can.
I had Mavericks can.
Would make it to the finals?
Yeah,
I don't think
absolutely,
they can.
absolutely.
They don't match up well enough with enough
What do you
teams.
mean?
They're not going to match. They're not going to beat
What
Denver.
team are
They're
they
not going to beat Denver in a 7-game series. They're not going
You
to.
have Luka and Kyrie.
They're not going to beat Denver in a 7-game series in the playoffs. They're not going to.
And then you obviously got Phoenix and LA.
Phoenix is just so injury inconsistent that it's hard to say where they'll be come playoff time because if Bradley Beal can't stay healthy, he can barely stay on the court during games. Same with Devin Booker. He's gotten injured twice this year already, which is rare for him. He's been a pretty healthy player his whole career. And then KD, obviously, he has his same
injury ridden.
I wouldn't say that, but he has his
I mean,
injuries.
and Brooklyn, I'd say he was injury ridden. Not Oakland, Golden State.
He was an injury ridden in Golden State.
But if you would let me finish, I was gonna say he was good all the way until the Achilles tear in the finals, and then after that Achilles tear, I think it's just been downward. I mean,
So he was injured for 2 years in Brooklyn?
majority of the time in Brooklyn he was out with injury.
Because I wouldn't say that last year he was injury ridden because he's the reason they made it to the playoffs and got to the playoffs. So the first 2 years in Brooklyn he was injury ridden and then he rolled his ankle once with Phoenix in warm-ups, not even in game.
That's pretty
in a freak accident.
That's
So
pretty crazy.
I wouldn't say he's injury ridden. If you're injury ridden, I'm looking at guys like Derrick Rose, Kawhi Leonard. Not Kawhi this year.
It's
but-
crazy how much Kawhi can get injured and he can still come back and keep playing.
Yeah.
That's rare, I'd say.
And yeah,
To get injured that
I wouldn't
much.
pick the Clippers to beat the Nuggets because the Clippers couldn't beat the Nuggets in the bubble, and the Nuggets weren't near as good as they are now.
I mean, that was
Well, the
also in
Clippers are not good.
2020, and the Clippers weren't as good as they are. I mean, Clippers are better now than they were then. How are they not?
What?
How are they not?
They have.
Well, Kawhi and Paul George both couldn't stop Jamal Murray or Jokic. So, and they're apparently one of the best defensive duos ever formed.
I think they're two of the best two-way players in the league, are they not?
Yeah, but they don't play like in playoff time.
They've only seen him one time. We haven't seen him one time.
You were up
fully healthy.
3-1.
Who's we? Whoa! I'm an OKC fan. Do I want the Clippers to win this year? Sure, but that's because they have Russ. Chill out. But, yeah, they were up 3-1. But at the same time, we haven't seen a full playoff run with them on playing at a high level, fully healthy.
I say if they were all healthy last year, they'd make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. They gave the Suns a run for their money when it was just Russ and Kawhi by themselves.
I don't trust James Harden.
And then
He wasn't on the team last year.
I'm talking this year.
Russ still kept the Clippers in every single one of those games after Kawhi went down.
Yeah, but
He was tormenting KD whenever he.
they always do it. They always go back and forth. That's one of my favorite part of watching the Clippers and Suns play is just them going back and forth. It's entertaining no matter they're hitting shots or not, just because they're old teammates. They're gonna go at it. But
Old best friends.
I mean, just looking at the shape of the league, how things are going, there's going to be some young teams coming in, and kind of these older teams, the Lakers, the Clippers, Miami, these teams are going to start, just teams like that are going to start dwindling out into those lower seeds eventually, because you have teams like the Magic, Indiana. I mean, Magic's the 4th seed in the East right now, so they're already on their come up. But Indiana, the Magic, obviously OKC's already up there. You have the Spurs. They're going to end up coming up. They have Wemby right now. I mean, the Rockets. Yeah, they're very young, talented players on that roster. Teams like that are going to be, those 1 through 5s eventually. So let's just say in the next 5 years, who's going to be the top 5 teams in the league? Based off of
Top 5 teams in the league 5 years from now?
3 to 5 years from now, based off what they've built for now, the young teams.
Do they stay on that team?
They're staying there. That's what I'm saying.
I think Orlando's got to be number 1.
Over OKC?
I think OKC is number 1.
Okay. OKC
is the most promising young team. I
got Orlando 2.
Orlando 2. I think the Rockets need if Sengun
I'm putting
improving.
Indiana over the Rockets.
No,
because
the Rockets, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's going to go OKC, Magic, Indiana, and then in 3 to 5 years, I'm putting the Spurs at that 4 spot.
I'm okay with that.
And then 5, I'm not putting
Can
Charlotte.
I say what are the Grizzlies not? Because this is been a complete reset year. Because literally,
I wouldn't even put them in that young team category because they're hurt, and Ja's about to be 25, 26, and then Jaren Jackson's going to be 24, 25, somewhere in that same range. So I wouldn't even put them in that category.
That's fair.
So my 5th team
I think the Knicks need to be talked about.
in the young team category,
Especially
they're not even that young of a team.
They're not young.
They're not young. Jalen Brunson's 27,
28.
yeah, and
Randall's
like
28.
He's like almost 30.
Ananobi's like 28.
Dante DiVincenzo's like 20, 26. They're not a young team. Definitely not a future 3 to 5 year young team.
Healthy Knicks team is the biggest threat to Boston. Just saying.
I disagree.
That's in Madison Square Garden. I would not want to see a healthy Knicks team.
Jalen Brunson's better than 3/4 of your roster.
Who's
Jalen? The only player that's
I have a 15 player.
No, listen.
the only player that's definitely better than him is Jayson Tatum?
Yes, thank you. The only player that's for sure better than Jalen Brunson is Jayson Tatum. Jalen Brunson is better than every other team with that player on that roster.
He's not better than Jalen Brunson.
Yes, he is.
What?
He's not better than Jalen Brunson.
What are you talking?
He is the number 1 option on the Knicks. He dropped 51 earlier in the year.
What? Jalen Brunson isn't better than Jalen Brown?
I love Jalen Brunson. I play him in my. I think he should.
If
be
you
top 5
swap,
MVP.
What?
Jalen Brunson. That's why I.
No. Did you just say Jalen Brown should be top 5?
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen
Brunson.
Oh my God! I thought
That's still bad. Jalen Brunson top 5.
Jalen Brunson's the definition of MVP.
It's not that big of a stretch.
Jalen
saying-
Brunson and Shea are the definitions of
I'm
most
saying,
valuable.
who are you taking out of the top 5 right now to put Jalen Brunson in?
let's see.
The NBA's top 5 right now is, I got it in my head, you don't gotta look it up. It's Jokic, it's Shea, it's Giannis, it's Tatum, and it's Luka. Who are you taking out and putting Jalen Brunson in for?
It's for sure over Jayson.
But I'm as them being the 1 seed, with him being the number 1 option, you can't, because that's by MVP.
He's the number 1 option on his team.
And they're the 4 seed.
They've been the most injury-riddled team in the last 3 months.
Okay, so that should
No Randall, no Anunoby, no Mitchell
So
Robinson.
because they've been injured, you should be like, okay,
He's keeping them afloat.
here you go, Jalen Brunson, take a
He's
spot.
the reason they're even
Take out Jalen
respectable.
Brunson. They are the 7th seed.
No.
Maybe even 8th. Let's see.
Oh, the bottom of the East.
Let's look at the East. You got Orlando, Philly, Indiana, Miami.
Yeah.
Without Jalen Brunson,
Who's
they're below all
above
the
Miami?
No, he didn't name anybody.
Who's
It's
above Miami?
Orlando, Philly, and Indiana.
Orlando, Philly, Indiana.
Well,
Miami.
Orlando-
Take out them. The next one, the 8th seed. Take out
No!
Jalen Brunson.
They're still better than Indiana.
I think they're still better than Philly right now.
Yeah.
Without Jalen Brunson?
Yes.
No.
OG Anunoby, as a fully healthy Knicks roster without Jalen Brunson,
Julius Randle's had a really good year, sir.
he just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, he had a dislocated shoulder.
Okay, if we're talking,
OG Anunoby
if we're
is
talking
great.
fully healthy, they're definitely worse than Philly.
They're what?
If teams are fully healthy, they're definitely worse than Philly because that means
No,
Philly will
that's
have
not
to
what he
beat.
said, jackass. He said that if right now with the league, if you take Jalen Brunson off the Knicks right now with the team and the rest of the Knicks were fully healthy, you said they would be the 8th seed.
They are not better than Miami.
I love Miami,
They're really inconsistent.
but they're so
They're
inconsistent.
not better than Orlando.
We know what.
I'm not saying they're better than Orlando. Orlando's top
I'm
3
saying
team in
they're
the
still a
East.
top 5 team without Jalen Brunson if they're fully healthy.
No.
Orlando right now.
So you're saying take out. You're saying take out Jalen Brunson, they drop 1 spot.
I would have, listen to me. I would have, if Cleveland and Orlando matched up right now in the 7-game series, I think Orlando can win. Straight up.
Orlando is
As long as they can stop Donovan enough times, Donovan is really just Donovan
he's
and
very
Jared.
consistent. He's been very.
Mobley can't score, and Jared only catches lobs.
Yeah,
But I'm
but
just saying, without Jalen Brunson, they're still better. They're still a top 6 team or top 5 team in the East minimum.
yeah, Julius Randle's been playing insane this year.
And Anunoby's finally got his
Dante
feet.
DiVincenzo,
Yeah.
Julius
Hart.
Randle, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart,
Josh Hart was balling.
Isaiah Hartenstein, like
Phenomenal.
these guys, Mitchell Robinson, these guys
He's coming back, too.
have been playing great this year, and that
He's gotta be healthy.
16 without Embiid is going to continue to fall these last 16 games.
It's Tyrese and Kelly and who else? And Paul Reed.
Paul Reed.
Paul Reed.
Paul Reed.
And he's solid though. No, listen, hey.
No, I don't like him because of what he said about the 65 game thing. He was like, I think it's ridiculous. Nobody told me I had to play 65. Paul Reed, you're not even in the conversation to win. If nobody's worried if you're playing 65 games or not. You're not winning any awards. He's not winning any awards.
Casual.
Paul Reed isn't.
Casual.
Paul
Casual.
Reed, Paul Reed.
Casual.
Shut up. Paul Reed isn't all NBA. Paul Reed isn't winning an awards. Who cares if he plays 65 games or not? I'm just saying. He said I didn't sign up for this.
Just because you said that, Paul Reed MVP next year.
It doesn't matter if you play 65 games. You can play all 81 and you're still not going to get any awards. Just saying. Anyways, back to the main point. My 5th team on that list is definitely going to be the Trailblazers in the next 3 to 5 years because of how good Shaden Sharp has been, how good Simons has been. And I think Scoot in the next 3 to 5 years can get to an All-NBA level.
He hasn't played.
He hasn't
I'm
played.
saying whenever he comes back.
He's not going to be in the team. They're going to trade him.
They're definitely going to trade him.
Yeah.
They're going to have to step away from
They're going to trade him.
Ayton.
They're going to trade him, Aiden, and Brogdon.
And the thing is, they still have Jeremy Grant, and I'm not saying he's young, but he's definitely going to probably be on the team in the next 3. I'm pretty sure he just signed for 3 years, so
way overpaid. Way overpaid.
not for the Blazers.
For the Blazers, probably not, but just for what he is.
No, but not for the Blazers. The Blazers definitely they weren't going to
The
get anybody
Blazers don't
else.
care.
They weren't going to get anybody
Yeah,
else.
they don't care.
What? Doesn't
Yeah,
make
I
any
hate-
sense.
I
They're
hate
red
that.
and black.
I hate their jerseys.
Red, black, and white. What? How's that? I can't give you more simple than
I hate
that.
their jerseys. I hate their logo. I hate their court.
It's okay. All right, whatever.
Anyways,
It's just ugly. It's so ugly.
So is Celtics green, but anyway.
Hell no.
Anyways,
Lucky's the best mascot in the NBA.
I'm taking Rumble over Lucky. Lucky don't do nothing to get. They even have somebody who dresses up.
He's better than
Then what does he do?
Yeah, he's better than the Denver mascot.
He ain't better than Rocky. Rocky's the highest paid one in the league.
Yeah.
He's a leprechaun.
He
You
don't
don't see what
anything.
Lucky. You don't see what Lucky don't be doing what Rocky be doing.
What would Rumble be doing?
All right, whatever. Keep going. Keep
If it
going.
was-
People hiding in his suit. It's an actual leprechaun.
No. You're not listening. Have you seen the BYU mascot, the Cougar, doing backflips, flaming basketball hoops and stuff like that?
Hey, listen. If it wasn't the Celtics, it wouldn't be a conversation. But because they're wearing white and green, it's
Also, hey,
Top 5 mascots are.
no, stop. We're not talking about this.
I'm not
We're not
talking
talking
about
about this.
this.
No, stop.
Benny the Bull is the undisputed GOAT of mascots. Benny the Bull. We seen the popcorn getting thrown everywhere. Anyways,
Benny's number 2.
be quiet. Nobody cares
Rumble's
about.
number 3.
Nobody cares about mascots. If it wasn't the Celtics, it wouldn't matter. Anyways.
I do have a take that Samuel should be in the running for most improved.
He's hurt. He's not going to play the last 16 games of the year. You can't win most improved if you're not playing.
He just now got injured.
And
He's not going to play the rest of the year.
He's going to miss the rest of the year. And he's not going to win it. Cade Cunningham, just because he hasn't played in the last year and a half.
This is essentially his second year in the league.
Yeah, but
Anyway, what are we talking about?
realistically, but yeah, we were on the young teams. We named the top 5. I think
Okay.
OKC, Magic, and then 3. I'm putting Indiana. I'm taking the Spurs, and then 5th. I'm going to say that's my 5, the Blazers.
I'm gonna go OKC, Orlando, who did I go? Indiana. No, I would rather have. I would argue Portland over Indiana.
I wouldn't, just because of how much Tyrese has developed. And Miles Turner is still playing good. Not saying he's the young guy on the team, but he's still playing good. Indiana has a lot of I think their depth in the next 3 years is better than Portland's.
Indiana does have Mathurin too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take.
I'm sure that Bill Drive, where do y'all put them?
So
It's just
LaMelo, Brandon. They already said they're not bringing back Miles,
Yeah, they're not
which
bringing back Miles.
nothing to what he did. Proven innocent. He's been playing great this
Just
year.
normal.
I mean, he dropped a career high of 40 something. I mean, why wouldn't you want to bring him back?
He's gonna go get a 1-year prove it deal somewhere and just go crazy.
Him and LaMelo's, I can't remember if it was his rookie year or his second year, so entertaining to watch.
He was.
Yeah, but
Those two.
LaMelo-
So it was their first. I remember because Miles gave LaMelo his rookie of the year trophy.
the Hornets aren't competitive enough, spiritedly enough to compete.
I think Brandon will be.
I think Brandon Miller, he's definitely going to leave the Hornets after his rookie contract's up, after he's an unrestricted free agent. I think he's out of there.
Do you think that's the best pick Jordan made as GM?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, just to touch on that for a second, if you go back and look at the picks that were made, if you look at, yes, they didn't pan out in the NBA, but those were the guys who were performing at a high level in collegiate basketball. Those are the guys that were hyped up. I mean, yeah, they ended up being bad picks, but nobody can predict the future with guys.
What do you think it was that the players were bad or that they weren't?
They just
coaching
didn't.
staff were
Well, no,
bad?
they just the lights were too bright. They didn't live up to the NBA hype. I mean, taking a step from college to the NBA is a giant leap. I mean, it's the size of the Grand Canyon leap.
People want to make fun of being calling people busts and stuff, but at the same time, that's one of the biggest jumps you can take.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case,
Some guys, it just don't work.
if that's the case, take every single college player and put them in the G League first, and then send them to the NBA. If
Say,
that's the
put-
way you want to
put
put it.
Do you think Cooper Flagg's making the right decision going from high school to college instead of high school to the G League?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen.
How did it?
I mean, we've seen 2 guys come out of the G League, and they haven't been great. Jalen Green and Scoot Henderson. And they haven't been great. It's still his rookie year, but he hasn't been great. He performed way better in the G League than he is in the NBA.
Jalen Green's potential was.
So I think going to college, learning defense, learning team defense,
Just playing at that intermediate level.
and then playing under bright lights. I mean, the G League, it's cool, but I think the lights are brighter in March Madness than they are in the G League playoffs.
Did you guys see the just G League not gave just for 1 week with the team and he got to like try out and stuff?
Exactly. Why? He's definitely not good enough to even touch the G League, let alone start on a D1 roster or even touch a D1 roster. So
I mean, it's true.
it's just a
It's
clown
just a
contract. That's
it's
a
a
clown
fool,
thing
yeah.
at that point.
Well,
But
a lot of people are saying it's because they want their players to have more exposure. And
Well, you can get it. What's the difference between that and AAU?
nothing.
Tell me what's the difference between G League United is and AAU, or the Overtime Elite League.
Overtime elite.
Overtime Elite League is terrible.
I mean, they did produce the Thompson twins, but I think
It's horrendous.
But I think the Thompson twins, whether they
They're
went,
just terrible.
I think the Thompson twins, whether they went to college or whether they went to the OTE, they still panned out really good. I think they were just the wild cards in the OTE because without them, the OTE wouldn't even be put on the map.
Yeah.
Overtime's a big deal, but the league, I mean, Rob Dillingham was in OTE, went to Kentucky performing amazingly, but if he went from OTE straight to the NBA, he wouldn't be as good as he is right now. I think you have to have that developmental stage. It's not, 10 years ago where you're just the #1 prospect in the country, you can go straight to the NBA. There's too many good guys now to do that. And there's not just a solidified guy like a LeBron in 2003 coming straight out of high school into the league.
With this conversation that we're having, I still need to ask you again, do you still think Cooper Flag will beat Russ in a one-on-one?
Is there a world where he doesn't?
Like right now?
Do you think Cooper Flag can beat NBA players in one-on-one right now?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why is that not? Is that
It'll
a no-brainer no for you?
He'll be in a college uniform this coming year, and
He's
then the year,
6'11".
and then a
That's
year
what I'm saying right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
he can beat. And I'm not saying any NBA player, but I'm saying it
he
can.
can beat anybody. I
He
think he
can
can
have
beat
it.
anybody.
But I'm saying like
Anybody in the NBA?
You're not answering the question. Why could he not? Why is there a reason he couldn't?
Because those guys have.
You're not answering the question. Why could he not?
Because he's not as experienced.
Is there a reason? Okay.
But like, what does experience matter in a 1v1? You're playing to 11.
Question.
What does it matter? You're not
Question.
playing in the
Question.
NBA finals.
Question. I have a question. What is? Did Drew Holiday beat Michael Jordan in the one-on-one?
Both. I'm saying any NBA player can beat any other NBA player in a one-on-one. If they're the highest level in the league, Cooper Flag is going to be his high school career is over. I'm pretty sure they already won one off. He's already probably in with Duke right now, hanging out, getting ready. And then in a year, he's going to be in a uniform. And a year after that, he's going to be on an NBA team. So, going to be the #1 overall pick. So, if you're an NBA prospect if you're an NBA prospect at 18, why couldn't you be an NBA player?
Whose pick does OKC have the year that you get drafted?
We don't have like that pick that high. We can definitely trade up for it. I think that's why Sam Presti is keeping all these picks is to trade for something like that. Because if we brought him in, that'd be nuts.
Does he start over Giddey?
I don't know if we had Giddey by then. We probably have to give him up to get that pick.
I wouldn't have gone anyway.
But I mean, we're not going to know what the Thunder's going to look like in 2 years. All I know is we're going to have Shea, J-Dub, and Chet. I can tell you that we're going to have those 3 guys. And
You think you're going to have?
I can't. I just said we're going to
No, he
have
said Jay will.
Jay. I don't know. In 3 years, who knows? I'm saying. I know for a fact, 110% in 3 years, we're going to have our big 3 of Shea, J-Dub, and Chet, no matter what.
Better hope you have enough money.
Well, Shea gets extended. I'm pretty sure either this year or next year,
Yeah,
and then J-Dub is on. He'll be on his rookie contract all the way up to the year after, and then we can re-sign him.
It's still small
Do
market.
you guys think there's a chance that Shea signs a bigger contract than?
They said that
It's
they
going to
already
hit
said
$400 million.
They already said he's gonna get over $400 million.
Oh, you're going to hit over $400 million.
They said like 420-something million or something
Because
like
you
that.
have to.
That's crazy.
But you have to think that the luxury, the salary cap goes up every year.
Yeah.
So if Shea signs the extension in 2 years, it's gonna.
We can, us ourselves, as of right now, we can't even fathom that much money. He's getting that
Right.
just for playing a sport.
The money that Shea is going to get in his next contract is equivalent to what Ohtani just got from the Dodgers.
Pretty much because of how it's paid out.
Yeah. And here's the thing. With like a player of his caliber, you have to even get close to the supermax where you can get offered the supermax, you have to be nominated for All NBA.
Yeah, you have to nominate for All NBA, make All NBA first
Yeah.
team, and also have other nominations as well.
I think the All NBA is only have to.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you have to do it. I think you do it twice.
Just once.
I thought it was twice.
Because
You used last year.
Jalen Brown has only done it once, and he got his supermax.
They was All NBA first team last year.
Yeah.
And he'll make.
Didn't JT get Supermax too?
He is on the
Yeah, he's on it right now. I think he has like 3 years left.
3 or 2.
But that's what I'm saying. And then think about it in 2 years with the Celtics. They're not going to be able to afford to give Jayson Tatum another contract like that.
You think they're going to have to choose between?
Yeah.
They're definitely going to choose Jason over Tatum.
Exactly. But
Especially if JT keeps putting on hella muscle every offseason.
if JT would play like his size is built to, nobody could guard him. If he didn't play like try to play like Steph Curry and shoot 8 threes a
He
game.
can shoot.
I'm not saying he can't shoot, but
This season he's definitely been using his body.
that's what I'm saying. If he played like that every single game, dude would probably average like 33 points a game if he played like his size. I mean, that's just the truth. But he's a good shooter, but he takes so many threes that he doesn't have to. But kind of wrap things up here, just kind of ending segment. We're going to do a start bench cut between all in their prime. So Shaq, Tim Duncan, and Hakeem Olajuwon start bench cut. We'll let Wyatt H go first.
Start Shaq. Bench Tim Duncan, cut Hakeem.
I'm going to start Shaq, bench Hakeem, cut Tim Duncan.
So
Just because Hakeem's better.
let me ask. Besides, even I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna start Shaq, but Tim Duncan's definitely staying on and cutting Hakeem, just because I think Tim Duncan's all in their prime. Tim Duncan's prime is definitely better. Than
Actually, no, switch that. I agree with Wyatt. I'll bench Tim Duncan and cut Hakeem because Tim Duncan's better offensively.
Yeah.
He still has the elite defense.
I mean, Tim Duncan's one of the. I don't think we're ever going to see another Tim Duncan, really. That's why I have him in my top.
Is Jokic the equivalent, like, would be the most easy, like, style-wise, not flashy, but does everything
like
great?
Tim Duncan.
Yes.
I'd
Instead
say
defense-
Jokic is his own thing.
No, I mean, if you had to compare him to somebody, the play style of his, I mean, take out besides, but just like how he carries himself on the court.
They do nothing, because him and Tim Duncan both do nothing flashy.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic does flashy stuff, but he does it so carelessly that it doesn't look
He
flashy.
doesn't really care.
Like, you'll see Joel Embiid make like a behind the back pass, and it's all over like House of Highlights, like, oh my gosh, amazing dime. But then Nikola Jokic does it like 6 times a game, but it's not pointed out because, I mean, we're used to it with him, and he doesn't freak out afterwards. He'll literally do it, just be like,
Alright.
all right,
Because it's his secondary job.
but pretty much, yeah, horse racing's first.
That's pretty good.
But another one, start bench cut, Chris Paul in their prime. So let's just, Hornets Chris Paul was one of the best point guards in the league at the time. And then Steve Nash in his prime and John Stockton in his prime.
Oh my God.
Three great point guards. Three of the greatest point guards ever played the
Chris
game.
Paul, John Stockton, and Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Starting Chris Paul, benching John Stockton, and cutting Steve Nash.
What you think?
I would probably agree with that.
Why cut Steve Nash?
I
But we're talking about from a point guard stance. Why cut Steve Nash?
just think Stockton is smoother and runs offense better.
So
I think he's better. I think he's better defender than Nash is.
I'd agree. I do agree with that. But for my point guard position, if I'm start bench cutting, I'm going to start CP.
CP is a problem.
I'm gonna start CP. I'm benching Steve, and I'm cutting John.
I'm cool with that.
Because from the pure point guard standpoint, Steve Nash
Really
arguably could be better than Chris Paul from a pure point guard standpoint. I mean, he won the 2 MVPs off being a great passer alone.
Pretty mediocre numbers.
I mean, 15 points a game, but also averaging like 9 or 10 assists on really good shooting splits because he was a good shooter.
Yeah.
And he was shifty. I mean, he was getting to the bucket. So I'm gonna have to cut John just because
You think he can do as much?
I just don't. Yeah. I think he was great. I mean, he was a good shooter, good defender, but from a pure point guard standpoint, I'm gonna have to take
I
Steve
think
Nash over.
I think Stockton is the best 4-0 point guard of all time.
I can see it. I mean,
That's just how I
he
think.
never won anything, but from a player
And he's
standpoint,
only against the big guys. too.
yeah, from the player standpoint, yeah, I can see that. But
I have another one for y'all. All MVP seasons, who are you choosing to run an offense through? MVP Russ, MVP Harden, MVP Curry.
MVP Curry running an offense.
Let's
through-
start bench cut.
Oh, running an offense
Oh.
through, start Curry, bench Russ, cut James Harden. I'm not. Well, are you? Based off their MVP seasons, running an offense through.
I'm starting Harden.
No. The only reason because the only reason I'm starting Steph is because he put up obviously incredible like shooting numbers, but was also passing the ball really well. And then Russ obviously was doing it on every level, you know, points, assists, rebounds, even defensively. And then James Harden, I feel like, yeah, he had, you know, good assist numbers, but I feel like the main focus of him was just the scoring. So if I'm running my offense, when I think of running my offense through somebody, I think of them being able to hit at all three levels. Like the shooting, rebounding, passing, everything.
Rebounding.
That's what I'm saying. You're running your offense through
In
that.
that case, I'm sorry, Russ.
If you're running it offense,
How do you contribute to rebounding in offense?
what do you mean?
Offensive
Offensive
rebounding.
rebounding? Russ is the greatest offensive rebounding guard of all time. He has the most offensive rebounds as a guard of all time. Yeah, that's a fact.
Really?
That's a fact.
I know that he's the
Yeah.
most physical.
He has the most offensive rebounds as a guard all time.
And MVP Russ could shoot.
He could.
He could shoot.
Not great numbers from three, but
Yeah.
if he stepped inside the 3-point line, it was automatic.
I mean, what were his averages
That mid-range jumper was, in Russ's prime, he might have one of the best mid-range jumpers of all time. Like, most unguardable mid-range jumpers of all time.
And
Because,
he had a good on game winners too.
yeah, I mean, he had to. They were not good.
I would say James, start James Harden, bench Russ, cut.
I think no matter what you go with, it's not a
Yeah,
wrong
you're getting
answer.
an all-time option. What's
Yeah.
the matter?
But, yeah, I mean, kind of wrap things up. I'm glad we got Wyatt back on. It's good to have other co-hosts back on. You know, always Wyatt Hull. And, you know, for me, your host as always. And we'll see you next time. This is The Foul Line.